know from talking with clients that they want more services, especially when it comes to the home buying process, because they're looking at us as a way of mitigating their risk. So when we bundle our services together and give them more as they order more, we can reduce that price to put it together in a nice bundled package. It really does give them that peace of mind when they move in that they've had full coverage, right down to even some new construction, getting mold tests during that new construction process after it's been completed. Not every home's being built to a proper standard, and not everybody's got time to get them inspected. Sometimes if that crawl space is a mess, it'll come up high when we do an air sampling for mold on those properties. And when you explain to them the value of that package and you put it together and show them that you're saving more by ordering more, we can bring more value to the table than if they could have if they had gone with somebody else who's trying to piecemeal each one of those things out. We don't just look at that client as a one-time transaction. We look at them as someone that's going to follow behind with us. Many of my prior clients stay in touch with me via Facebook, and they enjoy the YouTube channel, the funny videos we make of water following me in the crawl space, but they're also enjoying those tips, so they're getting more than just a one-time transaction of someone that, when you grab a person out there that bought a home just 5 years ago and say, who inspected your home, and they can't tell you. You could grab one of my prior clients and I'll probably be able to tell you, you know what? He gave me a book on the home, or he did this plus that during our inspection that brought such and such things to light that we couldn't have figured out. So a common question in my market that I get is, how come we're finding more high radon tests in the area? It's because we're bundling our packages together to make the actual testing affordable for our clients in the market. That goes back to the old, why do we have home inspectors? Because it's much better to bring one person than try to coordinate 5 different trades folks all showing up at the same time to inspect that property. We're starting to mature as a industry where guys are now figuring out that we should bundle our services together so we can provide them a maximum value for the time that they have to get these things checked prior to their purchase and mitigate that risk on the front side, which is very minor in comparison to the cost of the home, usually less than 1%. Even when they order a bigger package, which may cost more, it's still coming in less than 1% of the purchase price.
Well, we all want a big package.
Yes, who doesn't like that?
Well, let me touch on a couple of things that you said, though, because one of the things that you've done in your packages, which was against my advice, and we've done this a few times, and we've talked about packaging. We have hundreds of home inspectors that are utilizing our various packages that we've suggested, where you have your base package, that's your inspection, includes all the warranty coverages. You upgrade one step, and for $125 more, you get that infrared scan. You get a mold evaluation, visual mold assessment. You upgrade one more for another $300, and now you're getting an indoor air quality test and a couple of other frills. And these packages have sold really well. I'm very proud of the fact that we've brought millions, and I do mean millions plural, into the home inspection industry with these various package offerings. In your packages, though, you did something I said, really you shouldn't do. Because I generally say, don't put termite or radon or water well and septic, things that people would buy anyway, into the packages, because you're not really helping anything. But you went against that advice. And this is something you did that I think every home inspector, really every business person, should take something away from. You put radon in a package where that radon test that people were charging in your market $150, $180 for, because they all have CRMs only. They cost $1,000, and then you got to calibrate them every year. You're paying a monthly fee for a lease or what have you. They charge this really high rate, and then less people were getting radon tests, even in a market where an enormous amount of the home inventory has a radon issue. You're only an hour and a half from our headquarters. Well, you're 15 minutes by plane. You're 3 hours by roads, right, because in Indiana we don't make any sense on that one. But in your market, you found that you could bundle, package, put the perceived price point of that radon test down into, let's call it, the $100 range. And suddenly your percentage of radon tests ordered went up dramatically. And what did that do to your profits?
It shot them up tremendously as well.
Sure. And there's a client benefit too, because people are finding the high radon levels. They're asking the seller to fix them. It's not hard to fix the radon stuff. It's not expensive. We're not talking about stuff that gets in the way of the real estate transaction. It's just stuff that, saves lives. And, there's kids moving into these houses. They're going to move in and be playing in the basement and be exposed to high radon levels that are known to cause lung cancer. That's something that they should get done. Everybody in Evansville should do a radon test. I don't think they should have done them at the rates that many were charging. And apparently Evansvillians, or whatever we call people from Evansville, every single one of them should be getting a radon test. I think the price point was holding them back. So I think you're changing the market there in a good way. Now, I love this. We talked a little bit about social media interaction between inspectors and kind of, their reasons for doing or not doing anything. Just on this issue, let's talk about radon pricing. Here's what generally happens, and this happens in every industry. Another lesson for anyone in any business. There's only one or possibly two sources of information you should really give a shit about. Number one would be your clients and what they like. And number two, what you're being rewarded financially for. And not because it's all about the money, but because, money is an indicator of how well your business is doing and how well people are responding to it. They vote with their wallets. So many people, and it's in our industry, it's in every industry, they listen primarily to themselves, and then they listen to their peers, aka competition, unless they're in another locale. And on the radon issue alone, if I were to have this conversation, instead of saying, hey, there's a supply and demand curve here, if you find the right price point, you're going to get a whole bunch of radon tests. Your profits at the end of the year are going to be up. Yeah, you made less per radon test, but you still had a profit on each one, and you multiplied the number you were doing. That's good math. You analyze that. Here's the way it goes usually. If we were to talk about this with other inspectors, it would be on a Facebook post or in a forum somewhere. We'd say, hey, what's everyone charging for radon? And the responses are always, oh, I charge $150, or I do electrets for $100, or I won't do it for less than $225 unless they get an inspection, then they get a $50 discount. And number one, it's irrelevant data. It's from a different market. Why were we charging $165, $180 for a radon test in Evansville? Well, because the Indianapolis inspectors were charging $180 for a radon test. It doesn't have anything to do with Evansville. It doesn't have anything to do with your price point, your overhead costs, or any of that. We borrowed it. Then the other thing is we don't look at the credibility of that response. Like, gosh, we should ask our clients, if radon testing was at $100, would you suggest 100% of the buyers you represent get it? And if an agent said, oh yeah, that no-brainer, hell, I'll pay for it, you got yourself a winner. Now maybe you push that price point up over time. But when we look at these results of these informal polls in any industry, I really think Facebook missed the boat on this. They should have put not just your name and your picture, but your name, your picture, your net worth, and what your tax return showed you made last year, so that everybody could look at it and say, gosh, is that a credible answer? Because so many of them aren't.
These Facebook posts, I read them, and I've pulled back on commenting. It seemed like everyone jumped to Facebook and they got off the Internachi forums to start beating each other up a while back. They left those ones. So I've actually returned to some of the forums because I find them actually useful. It seems like the haters went somewhere else. The thing I've noticed about the Facebook forums and the different ones you get into it seems like the people writing the comments on there are either A, the least qualified, or the people doing the least amount of business and are giving you business advice. I'm sitting there watching some new guy ask a question, and 3 people will write a post, and all 3 of the folks on there are telling him how to run his business, and then you see him on another post like, I can't get enough business in, I'm going to have to get a part-time job. And I'm sitting there going, have you ever considered getting off of Facebook and maybe calling a real estate agent?
Yeah, novel idea, right?
Go find some business. It's out there. The opportunity's there. This isn't a limited pie. There's a lot of pie out there, and you can create more pies. Why aren't you out there?
Pies are inherently limited. I will disagree with you on that. You know why? Because we are way too damn friendly in this industry. There are exactly X amount of real estate transactions that are going to happen in the next year.
True.
You can only, we as an industry can't create more business other than to add value through packages, to add more services, to increase the level of service that we offer, to increase the value that we deliver, to be, not only there, oh gosh, was that breaker trip today, but also be the protection. Those are things that we can build, but there is a limited number. Back to this point about, the InterNACHI forum kind of, dying. It's not just the forum that died. And this is very interesting. We watch this because, if you've been around the industry for more than 5 years, you'll remember a time that every single day there was an ongoing hundreds of response thread about some topic regarding our services. If you search Nathan Thornberry to this day on the InterNACHI forum,
haters.
Oh, it was
love haters.
It was awesome. I actually did love them because they created a lot of business for me. I mean, people would go online, they'd read what these guys would post and go, this doesn't make a lot of sense, and they'd either say, yes, that made sense, and it was just the kind of person we wouldn't want to deal with, or they'd read it and go, yeah, this guy's a lunatic. I'm going to look into this for myself. And I think we picked up a fair amount of business off of it. But we tracked those guys that were the big loudmouths, and they're all out of business. I mean, half of them are definitely gone. You got one in New York in particular that hasn't been an active inspector for a long time. I mean, even when he was playing on the forums. You got a guy in Missouri that is supposedly an insurance adjuster, but I've never talked to anybody that actually has used him as an insurance adjuster, but he's not inspecting. And then you have a bunch of the other guys that we got one that has picked up and left, like literally left his state, and other ones with the websites being shut down. At the end of the day, this should have had credibility to it. We don't do ourselves as an industry a favor when we listen, when we give any credibility to these guys. You have to ask them, did you make money last year? How many inspections did you do? What makes you a credible resource on this? Have you ever been a client of this? Have you ever utilized this? We look way too much for the why nots instead of the whys. And with that, I want to go to a different thing, because forums are going to continue to be there. They get a lot of views, but they're largely ghost towns now. You don't have the drama effect. You have some good advice and some good technical stuff.
They've gotten into smaller groups.
Yes.
I have found myself joining some ones where there's almost like a limit on the amount of people that they'll let in, or a limited group. I do belong, I'm a member of the Ashley Greater Lakes chapter, and we have our own Facebook group just for the people that are in that chapter. So they don't let anybody else that's not in the chapter. We all know each other from attending the conferences. Sometimes there's a little drama in there, but it's a lot more civil than the other ones. You
have to actually see the guys.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, I guess you wouldn't be insulting each other as much because you're going to be sitting next to them at an upcoming conference. But by and large, my relationships with the people in there are very positive. And anybody says anything about them in other places, I say, leave the guy alone. This is a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
And not leave it at that. No, I don't give a reason why. It's just a stand-up guy. Leave him alone.
Well, Great Lakes chapter is, of course, my home chapter. Made a lot of friends there, lost some friends there. And it's just the best peer reviews in the industry are done at Great Lakes chapter. There's other chapters that send their people there. Frank Lesh led that group for a long time. And we're talking about a group that still to this day has like 100 people showing up to a meeting. after Great Lakes chapter got separated into Indiana chapter and Iowa chapter and Northern Illinois chapter. I mean, there's like a bunch of sub chapters kind of popped up out of Great Lakes chapter at one point, and yet they're still one of the strongest chapters of any association in the industry.
That peer review is powerful for training for someone like myself right now that's transitioning from being a one-man shop and looking to hire and bring into a multi-inspector firm. All of my people will be going through that peer review process. Wasn't an easy process, and I realize it's above standards of practice what they're doing and stuff like that. That's fine. Like I said, I can't imagine someone getting mad at me for over-delivering during a home inspection.
They usually just get mad when there's damages.
Yes. So,
So don't miss stuff.
That's right. So the peer review will help you limit that liability.
We go to these Facebook groups. We get generally some okay information, some good information, and then some really bad, unqualified advice.
Yes. They'll make you laugh. Those are the funny ones.
Well, and don't think that it's only in this industry, by the way. We participate in some other industries, and it is not unique to this group. I used to think it was. I hoped it was.
I think there's people that actually get into these groups and start stuff. Like they go in there and make up posts. Because I'm looking at some of these posts like, there's no way. There's just
Can't
no
be
way
real.
that, this is obvious. And everyone's getting fired up about the post. And I'm like, you guys just, like, it was like Russian espionage just took place in here. Like, you all just fell right into that trap.
Well, you caught me. Okay, so, I have like 3 or 4 profiles to start shit, and so does Nick Gromyko. And I'm joking, of course, but it seems like it. It seems like that could be it.
You don't have to do it. There's just people out there doing it. I'm like,
There's nut bags everywhere.
There is. Some clients, some real estate, some home inspectors, take your pick.
But let's talk about from your journey. You've been in the business for how long?
We're going into our 4th year.
4th year, and now for 2 years you've been at it, nearly 2 years, full time.
Yeah, going into our 2nd year full time.
Going into the 2nd year, and you're already hiring someone. You've bought another truck.
Yes, we
All
got
right.
our vehicle. We're prepping all that stuff.
So you had that moment where you went from, I have a career, I have some safety, I have shelter from the storm, to I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to make this a thing that is a legacy. Going to make me wealthier than I would have been otherwise. May lose some of the security that I had where I was, but that's what entrepreneurship is all about. You go into that, and now, who do you look to for advice as you go from you plus 1 inspector to, you plus 2, you plus 5? Where do you get that information? Because, I know you've been involved in at least one mastermind consulting coaching group, and that would be the Savvy Inspector, the Ken Compton thing. Is that the best place for information out there? Is this the future of home inspection?
As a person grows individually, we enter a season in which a different service might provide them something to grow themselves. So it's kind of like, depending on the books that you read, you're looking for different information. So to shore up my online presence, I got a lot of value from being a member of the Savvy Inspector from direct to the internet marketing. And I had some good information on developing relationships with real estate agents as well. Right now I belong to both the Savvy Inspector and the Mike Crow community, and also a member of TOP, and I'm feeling these as well. In December, I'm going down to the Inspector Empire Builder to check out one of the conferences. I don't think I'll continue monthly relationships with each one of them coming up, because my plate's full on inspections till I get enough time to implement some of the things that I've learned and round it out. And I've kind of picked some of that stuff up from watching the titans in our industry, like Preston Sandlin. You'll hear him say during his interviews, he's like the Swiss, where he's kind of a member of each community, and he's neutral. He doesn't lean towards one or lean towards the other. And I think that's very intelligent from a business owner standpoint, to be standing back and having some place where he can find out what's going on that's working here in this group and what's working here in this group. Is this one still going to be here in the next year or two? And he's able to obtain some of that information by not just being a staunch advocate of one over the other.
Well, I think, with Preston in particular, you have someone who has incredible physical strength, that is incredibly afraid of pissing people off. It's amazing to me. I'm happy to get in there and just throw a stick of dynamite into any situation. But no, he does he likes everybody to be cool, and he goes and he gets that information from the different sources. I think like him, I think there are some people that want the information like he does. There are some people that just don't. I respect both. I think most people that are in the don't want it category, though, they look at some of these groups and say, and really I'm talking about 3 groups, and I'll put them in order. You have Mike Crow's group, which is the mastermind inspection community now. For me, it will always be the millionaire inspector community. I think it's a crazy name change. Let's keep what it was. In fact, change that. 2, I would put Ken Compton in the number 2 position behind Mike, and I think it's a far cry. I mean, I think Mike Crow is the full-time consultant coach in our industry. I don't know that anybody else really has accomplished that, which is a shame for a number of reasons. But going on, then we have 3. We have the IEB as well. Now, I look at these and I think that a lot of people look at them and go, all right, Mike Crow's pretty transparent. If you talk to Mike Crow for a few minutes, you're going to understand what the guy's about. And yes, he wants you to pay him, but he also wants to deliver for that because he wants you to keep paying him. The second one, when we're talking about Ken, and third, when we're talking about IAB, I think, a lot of people see this ulterior motive that isn't as transparent as Mike's, right? With Savvy, you have the inclination to push people into a web hosting service, into an expensive web hosting service. With IEB, it's now super expensive, $1,500 a month for air. Because we're going to show you a few select people how to get rich in this industry. Well, we're going to do it by billing you $1,500 a month. I guess it's somewhat transparent, but Mike's at this, lower price point. I mean, are you a Dream Team member with Mike?
No.
Okay, you're just going to the conference.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I signed up for it at the last one, and so that makes me temporarily, because you get the 3 months when you did your sign up and stuff like that.
Sure. So you paid something. You're a Dream Team member now.
Right.
If you continued that, isn't it $200 or $300 a month?
I want to say it's right in that price range.
Right.
I don't know the exact amount. I wasn't actually intending to continue it after the 3rd month.
Sure. Well, but if you have in place the organization to and enterprise value to spread your wings and fly a little bit, and you find yourself needing that next thing, you might come back to a more extended.
Right.
My point are people that are outside looking in, seeing these ulterior motives. You've been involved in one. Does the ulterior motive exist, or is there a very pure, we're here to help?
I think it depends on that individual's needs and what it is they're looking to do. And I think that the different groups can prey upon those persons' shortcomings if they're not aware of it. For example, the web hosting one, did you need to really web host through them, or was it just convenient for you to go with them because you trusted them at the time when you signed up with them, and now it's a fire and forget, and you send them a check every month and you go about your business? Are you really getting that perceived value from when you originally signed up? And a lot of people, I think a lot of us all fall into that trap where I identify a shortcoming in my business model, I hire someone in to take care of it for me at X amount each month, and am I getting the full value of that over time? Some people forget to revisit whether or not they need to continue that service. And it's just my personality that I'm constantly looking at my numbers, because I believe my numbers drive my business. Just like you said, I want to be able to take that tax return and be like, when it's time to sell, here's 3 years of prior taxes on the business. We made a buttload of money, so pay us X times the value of our business.
And at the end of the day, even if you go with kind of the minimal membership, if you were involved in all 3, you're still talking about
a lot
of money.
Yes.
We're talking about probably $24,000 a year just in membership dues.
Yeah.
And then let's call it between all 3, maybe 6 meetings you might go to.
Right.
That's another 3 days plus airfare. I mean, 3 days times 6, so 18 days of your year plus airfare and hotel. we're probably talking about something in the neighborhood of 75 to 100,000 in real cost, plus the inspections you didn't do. I just assume you don't want to pay that, year after year for the information. So you have to pick what's going to be the thing that makes you go, you know what? That's the thing I'm going to stick with. What's going to be the deciding factor in that? If you feel the need, which you have up till this point, you've been a part of the Savvy Inspector for a long time. If you feel the need to have that camaraderie, the coaching, the ability to call somebody and ask them about this situation you're running into your business with, what's going to be the deciding factor for which of those three you choose after this next round when you do that analysis once again?
When I look at the business and where we're at today, and I'm looking to where we're going to go next, I'm looking to see what is the cost, what is the return on that investment. I shouldn't say for those kind of services from those different communities. I'm looking at them as investments. It's almost like, what is the return on my investment over the next year if I participate in, say, the Millionaire Community or the Savvy Inspector, or going down to the Inspector Empire Builder. And I'm going to look at that and say, I'm going to pay X. And with those particular services, I'm looking for a return on that investment. If I don't see a return on that investment, that's going to get stopped, and I'm going to redirect those funds into something that I see more value.
Let's say you had to pick one of the three. What would be the deciding factor for you when you look at these coaching and consulting opportunities?
Well, for this coming year, and that's why I'm going down there in December, I'm looking at that Inspector Empire Builder because I want to see what it is that they have to offer that there's so much buzz about in the forum. So I'm going to go down there myself and see what they have to say.
Sure.
And then make a decision. I don't feel like a lot of people actually make decisions in their businesses. I think they sit around and they stew too much on what their next move should be instead of actually just making a move. And then they get a missed opportunity.